Hello, all you scaredy cats and kittens, and welcome to the Two Scaredy Cats podcast, where we talk about all things strange, unusual, and paranormal. We're your hostess with the mostest. I'm Stacy, and unfortunately, Kara's not with us this week. She is 12 hours away on the other side of the world in Japan right now. So hopefully when she comes back, she'll have some stories to share with us about her experience in Japan and what all she saw and if she had any strange or paranormal experiences while she was there. So it looks like it's just me today. First up today, I found a interesting story that came across the internet in a very explosive way. Don't know if you've heard about this or not, but there was a model in Switzerland that was murdered by her husband. This story is like crazy because he actually ended up dismembering her and then blending her in an industrial blender to try to hide the evidence. But anyway, let's go ahead and get started. I'll start with that story first. So, a woman by the name of Kristina Joksimovic, who was a former model and Miss Switzerland finalist, was strangled by her husband, then decapitated. Then he cut out her womb before pureeing her body parts in a blender, all the while watching YouTube videos. So the husband apparently dismembered her body with a jigsaw, a knife, and garden shears. He also carefully removed her womb, which was the only organ that he had cut from her torso. The act of this deliberate mutilation or this ritualized degradation of her body indicated that Thomas, and that's what Switzerland ended up naming this guy. They're not allowed to, apparently in Switzerland, you're not allowed to reveal the name of real people when they're on trial or whatever due to their strict laws and rules. So they named him Thomas. Anyway, they said that they feel that Thomas has some sort of mental disorder. I mean, I guess you do when you decide to just kill your wife one day and then cut her head off and chop out her womb and then grind up her body parts in a blender. I mean, that's just not normal stuff normal people do. So he said he put some of his wife's body parts in an industrial blender that he just happened to have in his basement. Now, I don't know if that would be considered premeditated or not, because I don't know too many people that go around buying industrial blenders and just happen to have them in their basement. He pureed up her body parts, and then some of them he dissolved in a chemical solution as a way, he believed, to get rid of the bodies so that he couldn't be accused of the crime. When the authorities got to him and arrested him, he refused to give the authorities the access to his phone, which happened to be encrypted, which basically had, authorities on edge and feeling like there's a lot more that they can find out about what happened and what made him snap and all that. So investigators feel that the phone is going to have a lot of more evidence in it. They have not had the opportunity to break it yet, which is what they're working on right now, I believe. Based on his past behavior, and there were people, other women that had dated him that had similar experiences, not of him killing them, but he would easily be enraged about like silly things, and he would beat them for no reason. And one of his former partners or girlfriends, he ran over her foot one time. He threatened to throw her out of the car one time. But anyway, people indicate that he is an extremely violent person, that he does bad things to his life partners, and that he has sadistic and sociopathic traits. Some believe the killing happened because Kristina was planning on leaving him. But she was, a friend had mentioned that she was afraid to leave him because he had threatened to kill her before if she ever did leave him. Kristina, they had 2 kids together, which for obvious reasons he will never see them again, obviously, and he's probably going to be locked up for the rest of his life. Or if he doesn't, I don't know what they do. It's Switzerland, so they probably don't kill people there for murder, but I'm sure he'll be locked up for the rest of his life. Okay, so if you guys recall, last time we were together, we were talking about the witch farm, which was about basically the Europe version of the Amityville horror. And it took place in Wales. And we were talking about all the different experiences of the family that owned this farmhouse that was like on the edge of a ravine or a cliff, and all the different experiences that happened to them when they lived in the house. Or the young boy that lived there got to be, he was basically possessed by something in the house, and his whole demeanor changed and his attitude changed. But once he left the house, he was fine. And then the parents talked about how they saw like shadow figures and all kinds of other stuff. And they had so many crazy experiences in the house that it was just crazy. Well, we talked about the original Amityville Horror a little bit. We didn't go into details or anything about it, but we mentioned it. And so I thought today it would be kind of cool for me to go ahead and talk a little bit about the Amityville Horror and what happened and what might have happened or might not happen, because there's a lot of controversy surrounding the actual Lutz family and what they reported happened after they moved into the home. So let's go ahead and get started today. I'm talking about the Amityville Horror. On November 13th of 1974, on an estate outside of New York City in Long Island, there was a mass murder. 23-year-old Ronald Defoe Jr. murdered his entire family while they slept, which included his parents and 4 siblings. And the way he did this was with a gun, or a rifle, I'm sorry. And he ended up shooting them all basically in the back of the head while they slept. Now, there's some controversy about, whether or not he had somebody else help him or if he did it all by himself, because his family was spread out on 2 floors, and people were questioning how is it that people on the one floor didn't hear the other people on the other floor getting killed. So there's some speculation that maybe he had somebody else. At one point, he was claiming that his one sister helped him to do these acts, and then he ended up killing her in the end. But it's come to light that that's probably not true, and that's just him trying to make it so that, but everybody's not looking at him. So about a year after this all happened and the whole family was taken out by the son, by Ronald Defoe, the Lutz family purchased the home, and they got it at a very cheap price due to the murders that had happened. And they only ended up staying in the home for 28 days. They ended up leaving the house with all their belongings in it. They didn't even try to take their stuff with them because they were that rattled and that upset about things that had happened in the house while they were there, like some of the hauntings and some of the paranormal activity that was going on. Now, there are some rumors that the home was built on top of a Shinnecock burial ground, which is a Native American tribe that was said to have lived in that particular area of New York. But after doing some research, it has been said by numerous people that are part of that tribe that never at any time was any of their tribe in that area during, back when the tribe was there. In fact, most of the land that they have still to this day is further, I believe, north from the property. So that is false. There was no Native American burial ground that the house was built on top of. There are also rumors that one of the previous owners, a gentleman by the name of John Ketchum, was a satanic worshiper. That too I've looked into, and that is not true. At least from what I could find, he was not into Satanism. Now, the Lutz family claimed that, they saw his ghost in the house and stuff like that, but nobody else has ever seen it, and nobody has been able to prove that is true. So the paranormal activity in the house started for the Lutz family when they moved their blended family with George and Kathy and their 3 children that Kathy had from a previous marriage into the home. George asked the local priest, a gentleman by the name of Father Ralph Piccaro, to bless the house. So the priest came, he blessed the house, and later that night he ended up calling them back and told them that while he was blessing one of the rooms that he heard a voice that told him to get out during his blessing. He then told the family that he advised them not to go into or use that the room that was on the 2nd floor because he felt that it was not a good room for them to use because of what happened to him. We also found out that the room that the priest was referencing is actually the room that Defoe's parents slept in. So that would have been his parents' bedroom back then. So after that, all kinds of crazy paranormal activities started in the home. So apparently the stepfather, George Lutz, had a history of dabbling in the occult, which later on, after the whole, many years later on down the road, Daniel Lutz mentioned in an interview or in a documentary that he was in that he felt that because of George's history of dabbling in the occult, or that is why they had so much activity in the house. He feels like that was a catalyst for that. George was known to wake up at 3:15 a.m. every morning, which was around the same time that Ronald Defoe had carried out his murders of his family. The Lutz family also claimed that they smell strange odors in some areas of the house. They say that there was a green slime that was like on the carpet in one of the rooms. There was also slime oozing off the walls and through keyholes on some doors. They would also experience cold spots in certain areas of the home. Kathy was allegedly transformed into an old woman during one night when they were, I guess her and George were home alone. And he went to look at her and he realized that she looked like an old woman and not, the young woman that she was. Other paranormal activity that they have witnessed, there was an invisible spirit knocking a knife down in the kitchen. A pig-like creature with red eyes staring out the windows, looking at George and his son Daniel while they were doing some stuff out in the yard. George would wake up to his wife Kathy levitating off their beds sometimes. And the boys, Daniel and Christopher, also were said to have been seen levitating off of their beds. After telling their story, George and Kathy took a lie detector test to prove their innocence, and they passed it. But a lot of people think that this was all made up by them and that none of this really happened. But at the end of the day, though, you got to wonder what made them leave that house so quickly after only being there for not even a full month. And why would they leave all their belongings behind? Because they used most of their money to purchase this home. Don't see somebody just leaving all their stuff behind like that if that's, all their worldly belongings and, possessions that they have. So Ronald Defoe died in prison in March of 2021, and he claimed that he had heard voices urging him to kill his family, and that is why he killed his family. The voices told him to do it. But he has changed his story several times since then. To this day, the reason for killing his family is unclear. People have looked over his case files, and some people have actually interviewed him, and people believe or think the reasoning for why he might have killed his family was for the money. He thought that by killing the family and having his mom and dad out of the way, he would inherit their money that they had, not realizing that they really didn't have a lot of money that he was going to inherit. Also, one of the sons, Daniel, lives in New York, and he claims that the house has ruined his life and that he still has nightmares to this day. Daniel also claims that him and George were possessed by a spirit in the home, and that George Lutz demonstrated telekinetic abilities while they were living in the home. I also thought it was interesting when I was reading up on all this that there were strange things actually happened on the set while they were filming the 2005 remake of the Amityville Horror. The cast and crew said that they would wake up at 3:15 in the morning, which was the time that the murders took place when Ronald killed his family. So that was interesting. And also, while they were filming, they were doing the scene where they were out at the boathouse. And they said that while they're doing that, the police, drove by in a boat or whatever. And they found out that a dead body had washed up on shore, like a few feet from where they were filming and where the house was that they were using, and was found in the lake. So, that's just some of the crazy stuff that happened while the filming was going on. That crazy, some of the stuff that they claim happened. Also, the Lutz family said that they would hear banging sound. It sounded like people were slamming doors in the house, and they would go look, and the doors would be like shut or open, like they hadn't been slammed. They said the front door had been ripped off its hinges at one time. They also said that there was like a lot of banging and stuff that they could hear in the walls and stuff that was never really able to be explained. But yeah, that is the story of the Amityville Horror and some of what happened to the original family, the Defoes, how the house came to be haunted, and then the Lutz family that moved in afterwards and all the stuff that happened with them. Now, it's interesting to note that the house has been sold numerous times since then, and there have been a couple of families that have lived there for a pretty long time, and they said that they have never had any experiences of paranormal activity in the home. Whether that's true or not, I don't know. But that's just what I have come across doing my research. I think that is all I have for you guys this week. Just, has anybody been watching the Agatha witch show on Disney Plus that just came out from Marvel? If you have not, and you do have Disney Plus, I highly recommend you watch it. You don't really have to know the whole backstory too much of what happened in the show that she had been before that, the WandaVision show, but it's a pretty neat show so far. I really like it, so I highly recommend it if you were on the fence about watching it and you haven't had time to do it yet. I really think you should. All right, and the only last quick thing that I have to say is that Kara and I have a really cool experience that we're going to be going someplace really cool in towards the end of October here, that'll fit in nicely for Halloween and stuff, and we're really excited about it. And when she comes back and we do our show, tape our next show, we will talk to you guys about what it is. I'm really excited, and I can't wait for you guys to find out where we're going to be going. But if anybody has any ideas or would like to guess where we might be going, we'd love to hear from you. Like I said, I think that's all for this week. Just to all our friends that might be experiencing the hurricane that's coming through, be careful out there. Hopefully you're all okay. We're going to be getting a little bit of it, but we're just getting rain and some wind possibly. You know how that is. They never know where it's actually going to end up going. But so that's all I have. We will see you guys in 2 weeks, and both of us will be here, and we will be making our announcement about what's going to be going on in October, and I can't wait to tell you guys. It's really cool. And hopefully Carol will have some great stories for us about her trip to Japan and what all she did and some of the places she got to see. So everybody, be safe out there, be kind, and we will talk to you guys in 2 weeks. So if you enjoyed our podcast today, please make sure to like and follow us. We are now on YouTube, and you can also like and follow us on Spotify. By doing so, it really helps the show to get discovered. And tune in 2 weeks for another exciting episode. And to all our scaredy cats out there, remember, curiosity didn't kill these two scaredy cats.